are 3 years in here at Perfectly Paranormal, still educating people about the paranormal world around us. And this is episode 156. My name's Anna Schmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that generally no one else talks about. They just don't. They avoid the topics that I love to share with you. And today you're going to hear, do ghosts hold on to their emotions and traumas? And does this energy keep them trapped here in the earth reality? People often say to me, there's a spirit in my house. Why won't it leave? And there can be many reasons, which I've discussed in previous episodes. But today, we are going to focus on spirit, emotions, and traumas. So before we get to the spirit end of things, we're just going to backtrack slightly to before people become spirit energy. Now, when we are living beings, we create emotional responses every single day. Some positive and some negative, and this becomes our emotional baggage. Some of it we work through, some of it, probably a lot of it, we sweep under the carpet because it's too painful to deal with. And that can be the energy that we carry with us into spirit form. Now, examples of emotions such as grief, shame, guilt, regret, fear, despair, or sadness. These are really good examples. These are quite heavy negative emotions. There's other things like anger, rage, and hostility. I don't often find those attached to spirits. Not the majority of spirits. It's always the sad, depressive type emotions. These can anchor a spirit to the earth reality because now they don't feel that they can deal with the emotions because they can't have the conversations that they needed to have when they were alive to clear the air with the necessary people. So now they feel trapped in the in-between place. They're neither on earth, they're neither in the afterlife, no one understands them, no one cares, no one can hear them, except people like me and other people out there that are connected to working with spirit transition. Now, I can give this opinion because I've helped many spirits release their emotional baggage and leave this reality to go into the afterlife waiting room. And once they do that, they then, after they've worked on themselves for a little while, with whatever their traumas and their emotions are, they then get their golden ticket into mass consciousness to go and be with past loved ones. Now, I don't go looking for spirits. I'm not one of those people that's always wanting to transition them. But if they come to me because I've been to some historic site or I'm doing a house clearing or a property clearing and there's spirits present, I will assist them if they want assistance. They don't always want assistance. Sometimes they're not ready. We can't force them to do anything. Now, when it comes to releasing their emotional baggage, I don't think spirits have any other way to do it other than through those who are still alive. Because that white doorway or that golden tunnel off into the afterlife, they've missed it. They've missed the boat, as we say. And they're a little bit stuck. And they're like, oh my goodness, we're just going to have to wander the earth for the rest of eternity. It's not the case. But when you work with spirits, it's their willingness and readiness that is the kicker. I think spirits observe living people. And if they like them, if they trust them, and they're then willing to feel vulnerable, because they're still vulnerable in spirit form, just like we are vulnerable in our human living form, they're vulnerable to share their emotional baggage. Sometimes they're embarrassed or they're ashamed that they can't get the help they need unless they step up. Like I worked with a sex predator in spirit form. Quick story, very quick. He came to me through a client that he had attached himself to. She didn't have to deal with him in living form because he was in Australia and she lives in Canada. Oh my goodness. Once he was in spirit form, he only had to think about her and he found her in Canada and it was just, she was not coping. And because he was, we'll say, sexually orientated, He thought he was going to hell. And he thought, I'm just going to live it up on the earth reality because I can't go to the afterlife. God won't have me. I'm going to go to hell and I'm not going there for the rest of eternity. So he just lived it up in the earth reality. And so when I removed him from my friend or from the client in Canada, I thought he went into the afterlife. This is in my early days, but he didn't. He was a bit sneaky. Sometimes spirits can be a bit sneaky because they're scared, they're afraid, they're scared of the devil. God doesn't want them. They're embarrassed. They're ashamed, basically. Like he was ashamed of how he'd lived his life. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll was pretty much his thing. It's what he did for his whole life. So we had the conversation, like I just talk to spirits like I'm talking to you now. Like there's someone in the room, because they are in the room. You just can't see their physical, organic body. He coughed up the beans and he went, I'm ashamed and I'm afraid of what's going to happen to me when I leave the earth reality. I said, what do you think's going to happen? And he said everything. He thought he was going to go and fire and brimstone and the devil will be poking him with his pitchfork forever. And I went, no, it doesn't work that way. If you repent, show some remorse for what you have done, you will get to the afterlife waiting room, which people always go to anyway. But it's the amount of time you spend there working on what you have created in this lifetime. And he was like, really? So God actually wants me? He said Jesus. He didn't use the God word. He's like, Jesus actually wants me. And I went, yes, he died for your sins, mate. And he was like, oh, really? And I went, yes. I was starting to lose my patience by then. I said, I'm going to call in the archangels. We're going to help you release some emotions, 2 of them, which were sexual desire and lust, on his list. And away he went. And I never had any more issues with anyone getting a bit handy in bed, pulling on the blankets, trying to get under the covers, being a bit naughty. Because that's all he knew. He didn't know anything else. Well, he chose not to know anything else. So spirits need to understand how it works. And when they've got emotional baggage or trauma imprints, which are the actions that go with the negative emotions, that is going to anchor them here because they're afraid to leave this reality. Now, you'll find this interesting. When energy-sensitive people, and I've got my hand up here, when we do spirit transition work, sometimes we become the channel for the spirit's emotions so they can be released. Now, I only know this is a thing because I've been through it. And I've witnessed other people walk into, I've been on paranormal investigations and we've walked into buildings and people have gone, why do I suddenly feel sad? And they're crying. Oh. And they're like, why? What is going on? Some people just don't cope with it. It's not their emotions. They're picking up on the emotions of the people in the building. And the people are wanting help, so they're coming closer to us as living beings. And maybe there's an energy worker. I seem to do it automatically. But somehow God wants me to feel their emotions to help them, to help the spirit identify what they need to release. Sometimes they need to release it through a living person. And I'll be sitting there, it's really quite funny, and I'm just setting up my work stuff. I've got a floor plan and I've got the address of the house and I've got a few details about the building. And I'm about to start and I get hit with this sudden wave, like this, I call it a tsunami wave of sadness, despair and distress type energy. It's literally what it feels like. Both of my eyes, like I'll be full on bawling my eyes out like a baby. Like I am crying, but I just let it happen. The spirit needs to release it through a living person. Don't ask me why that is a thing. It is just a thing. And I only know it's a thing because I've experienced it. Once I've done the crying for maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, I'll ask the spirit, are they ready to go now? We will look at my list of emotions. We'll identify what they need to release. I call in Archangel Raphael to clear the identified emotions. And then Archangel Azrael, who is the transitioner of souls, he comes, the spirit goes with him, job done. and I stop crying and it clears up and my red eyes disappear and I blow my snotty nose. Done. Job done. Now, it's not every time. I've worked with some spirits that are just like, oh, I'm just so sick of being here, I need to go. But some of them are so heavily burdened with sadness, grief, despair, depressive type emotions that they just can't even think about leaving. Now, I've observed this over and over again. And like I said earlier, it seems to be the sad emotions that come through that hold spirits back. I've never experienced feeling anger or rage or any of the violent negative emotions. I've seen them, like if I've been working on a piece of furniture or in a home. I'll never forget, I think it was episode 99 or somewhere around there where I worked on Marie's house, which had been an old schoolhouse. So the principal was there, and there was also a man we called the bursting face man because his face was so red. And when I tuned into her property, this was a spirit stomping around the hallways and angry. And the lady that lived there, Marie, said that she would feel angry for no reason in some particular rooms in the house. So she was sensitive to feeling it, but she didn't act out on it. She just felt all of a sudden this anger came out of nowhere. And then it was gone again. It really is quite weird when you experience it. You're like, what the heck was that? I don't seem to get those people. I will witness it, as in visually, or I'll feel it in the home, but I don't channel those sorts of emotions. It's more the sad emotions. It's really, really interesting. Now, I've talked about my experiences in previous episodes. I think it was episode 97. I did write that one down, where I've transitioned suicide souls. Now, they exhibit sad emotions along with guilt, shame, and regret. That seems to be the 4 types of emotions that the suicide souls that I've worked with, I think there's 3, 4, maybe 5 of them in the past, clearing them from homes. And they're really resistant to leaving Earth because they think they're going to go to hell. You know, we always talk about purgatory and hell, and if you do the wrong thing, you're going to burn for all of eternity. I don't believe that's the thing. I think you have to work on yourself. Whatever we do in this lifetime, oh my God, we don't get away with anything. All of it is seen. All of it is recorded in what we call the Akashic records. We each have our own life book. I don't know a lot about that. It's the other end of the woo-woo scale for me. I'm more down the dark end of the woo-woo scale. And before we finish up today, I wanted to add here about the death vibration. Now, I haven't found any websites or anyone online that talks about death and the dense, heavy vibration that it carries. And in my opinion, death creates a formidable frequency and it attracts paranormal beings. And I will explain, I'm talking the dark entities, and I will explain how I know this. This is something that I found through doing the house clearing work. The moment of death, the intensity of that vibration and the impact of the action causing the death leaves some spirits in an in-between place. Now, you're probably wondering, what do I mean? Now, this is how I know about this, is that I have actually had spirits explain it to me. Not so much in words, but with feelings and visual images. So some spirits say that when they were alive and they knew that they were dying from, say, a terminal illness, or they'd had a serious accident and intuitively knew that death was on their doorstep, they were mentally and emotionally prepared for the passing from this lifetime. And the death vibration didn't hold them here in the earth reality. And I do wonder if the knowing allowed them to tie up loose ends, to hug those that they needed to, and to have those difficult conversations that they'd always wanted to, but never had the courage to step up and do, and to clear the air and then to go in peace. Other spirits who experience unexpected, sudden traumatic deaths afflicted upon them, or death by self-harming, they can carry a really strong death vibration, which has unresolved issues attached to it. And this energy sticks to the spirits and it actually holds them here in this reality. And sometimes the dark and the demonic level beings will hang around these spirits and possibly attach themselves to these spirits who are carrying these dense death vibrations, making it nearly impossible for the spirits to be able to transition into the afterlife, unless the spirits can find an energy worker who understands the paranormal and can remove the death vibration. And by doing that, the dark and the demonic entities just simply leave. You take away their food source, away they go. And then the spirits are free to transition into the afterlife. Now, I did a whole episode back in episode 126 where I discussed the impact of the death vibration in homes and on the land. And it was really interesting. I really found it beneficial to understand how the death and bloodshed vibrations work. And it really does make a big difference to the energy of homes where these occurrences have happened. So if you're interested, check out episode 126. Before continuing our spooky content, I'm excited to announce that you can now text my podcast. Yes, indeed, with a question or a comment, or even suggest a paranormal topic for a future episode. The feature doesn't allow me to respond to your text, but I will indeed give you a shout out in a future episode. And if you're interested in leaving a text, you'll find the text link in the show notes. So let's get back to our episode. Do spirits hold on to their emotions and traumas? They absolutely do. And it keeps them here trapped in the earth reality. And really, when we're in this living form and we hold on to our trapped negative emotions and traumas, keeps us stuck and stagnant in our living form. There's no new opportunities. Life is just boring, dull, and really a hellhole until we deal with what's been holding us back. When you can do that, you can move forward. Same for the spirits. So it works for the living and the non-living. So this has been rather a short little episode today, but I just couldn't think of anything else to write. Other than, if there's any energy workers out there that have felt spirit emotions, other than the sad ones, well, even if you felt the sad ones, I would really like to connect with you. So you can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And the email address, if I've spoken too fast, is in the description box. Or you can leave me a fan mail message as well if you want to share your experiences. I would love to hear what you've experienced when it comes to transitioning spirits. It would be really lovely to connect with other energy workers. So in episode 157, Kay in the US has a question. Now, I love this question. Can I accidentally make a deal with the devil with my thoughts? I think Kay has been a bit worried about something. So we're going to unpack this. This is a very interesting question. And you might just be surprised at my observations and opinions on this. Because I've dealt with a lot of magic attack and people sending me conscious energy, I have a little bit of an understanding about not about me making deals with the devil, but how other people can make deals with the devil, and it's caused me problems. Or maybe that doesn't even make sense, but I know what I mean, and I will explain it all next week. So I look forward to spending some spooky time with you in next week's episode. If you like this spooky content of this episode today, please hit the subscribe button and you will get a notification when every new episode is released to the public. And stay tuned for many, many more episodes unpacking the strange and unseen aspects of the paranormal world around us. So thank you for joining me today. And don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.